Hello students, in this video we are going to discuss about human nervous system. Our human nervous system is divided into two parts. One is the central nervous system, other is the peripheral nervous system, commonly CNS and PNS. The communication between central nervous system and other body parts is facilitated by this peripheral nervous system. Why it is called central nervous system and why it is called peripheral nervous system? See, the central nervous system comprises of brain and spinal cord. This brain and spinal cord is present in the central axis of the body. Therefore, it is called central nervous system. And in the sides, at the sides there are nerves. So, because they are at the periphery, therefore they are called peripheral nervous system. Now, let's talk about them in detail. Central nervous system. The components of central nervous system are brain and spinal cord. Brain is divided into three main parts: forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. See, brain is the widest and the very important part of central nervous system because it coordinates all the activities of the body, right? And its weight is about 1.2 to 1.4 kilograms in an adult person. Now, when we talk about spinal cord is a long extension that begins from the hindbrain and ends up to the lumbar region. This spinal cord is responsible for many reflex activities, right? Rest we will study in detail later on. Now let's talk about the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is again divided into two main parts: voluntary nervous system and involuntary nervous system. I think you might be very aware of these two words, voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary means which is in control of our will. For example, if we want to walk, then it is our wish whether we want to walk or not. But what is involuntary? Suppose if we have swollen a food, now that food is not in our control. Whether we wish to or we do not wish to, that food will move forward. That is the involuntary. So this peripheral nervous system is of two types: voluntary nervous system and involuntary nervous system. Voluntary nervous system is under control of our will, right? And here the control of will is not required. Now, these voluntary nervous system is of two types: cranial and spinal. Okay? Those nerves, as I drawn a picture here. When I drew here that some nerves are arising from the brain and some are arising from the spinal cord. So those nerves which arise from the brain are called cranial nerve, and which arise from the spinal cord is called spinal nerves. These cranial nerves are 12 in number, 12 pairs, and spinal nerves are 31 pairs. Now, involuntary nervous system. See, these are also known as visceral nerves. These are connected with the internal organs or the glands, and these arise from the branches of cranial and spinal nerves. Whether it is a cranial, spinal or visceral. Again, they are of three types: sensory, relay, motor. What is sensory? What is relay? What is motor? Sensory is that nerve which carries information from our receptors to the spinal cord or brain. And whatever decision is to be taken, that decision is brought back by the motor nerve. Then what is relay? Relay nerve is that nerve which is in between the sensory and the motor nerve. Now let's discuss about the brain in detail. As we know that brain is the widest and uppermost part of central nervous system, and its weight is 1.2 to 1.4 kilogram in an adult human being. And a brain is divided into three parts: forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Let's talk about the forebrain first. Here you can see a diagram. This complete part, this much portion, this is the largest part of the brain, and this forebrain controls all the voluntary actions like see, hear, emotion, reason, reasoning and this all. So the two parts in this brain are, one are the cerebrum and other is the lobes. Cerebrum is the widest part of the brain, or we can say the not widest, we can say it is the largest part of the brain. A cerebrum has two hemisphere, right hemisphere, left hemisphere, like this. When we see its view, right hemisphere, left hemisphere. Right hemisphere controls the left side of the body and the left hemisphere controls the right side of the body. Cerebrum has four lobes. Occipital lobe. This occipital lobe has visual areas, color, words. That means colors, words, these are all recognized by a particular region in this cerebrum, and that region is called occipital lobe. Similarly, the second one is parietal lobe. Touch, feel, temperature regulation, and so on. So many other activities are controlled by this parietal lobe. Next is frontal lobe. All our muscular activities, our problem solving is controlled by frontal lobe. Then temporal lobe, all auditory and visual receptors. What frontal lobe is doing, parietal, temporal and occipital has nothing to do with that. That means all lobes individually, they do their work, they don't interfere in each other's work. Right? So this is all about the forebrain. So what is important in this, that the forebrain is the largest part of brain. It has cerebrum and lobes, and cerebrum is the most biggest part in the brain. Clear? Now come to second part, that is the midbrain. It is very small part of the brain and it controls many involuntary activities like pupil size. Suppose if you are sitting in a dark room and all of a sudden you move out of the dark room in a very bright space, the size of the pupil automatically increase and decrease. That pupil size is controlled by midbrain. That auditory impulses, right, auditory and visual impulses, these are also controlled by midbrain. Then controls reflex movement of head, neck, trunk, eye. All of a sudden we don't want to move, but suppose if we hear any sound, we immediately move our neck or we immediately see towards that. That is, we are not wishing to do it, but still we are doing. So these are all the reflex movement and these are controlled by midbrain. And yes, one more important thing, it connects forebrain with the hindbrain. So these are some important functions of midbrain. Now the third one is hindbrain. Third part of brain is hindbrain. Hindbrain is divided into three parts: cerebellum, pons and medulla oblongata. Let's talk about cerebellum. It is the second largest part of the brain after cerebrum. What is its function? It coordinates muscular activities in the body. All muscular activities are controlled by cerebellum. Yes, maintains posture and equilibrium of the body. Walking with balance, cycling, writing, all these things are controlled by cerebellum. Right? So this is very important, generally asked in board exams also. Which part of the brain is responsible for maintaining posture and equilibrium of the body? Now the second part is pons. Pons, it connects cerebellum, medulla oblongata and cerebrum. Mind it, cerebrum is the part of forebrain. So its function is to connect all these three parts. It acts as a relay center among different parts of the body. That means to send message or to receive message, its function, it acts as a relay center. It takes part in regulation of respiration, very important. This is also the point which you have to remember. This question is also asked in one year in the board exam. Now next is medulla oblongata. This lies below cerebellum. Clear? It controls involuntary actions. Involuntary actions which are not under the control of our will, like vomiting, salivation, heart beating, sneezing, coughing, blood pressure. These are some of the involuntary activities controlled by medulla oblongata. And this medulla oblongata continues in spinal cord. Right? So our next topic is spinal cord. Spinal cord, brain continues in the spinal cord. This is the narrow cylindrical part of our central nervous system. Its length is approximately 43 to 45 centimeter. It extends from the base of the brain. That means it starts from the end of the brain and ends up to the lumbar region. It is the center of many reflex activities, right? It conducts motor and sensory impulses to and fro from brain. Motor and sensory, that means information from the body parts is sent to brain, or instruction from the brain to body parts is brought back by the spinal cord. Or in other words, we can say that spinal cord is a manager of the brain. Any message is not directly sent to brain, or any information from the brain is not directly sent to the body part. Whatever messages are to be sent or to be brought back, they are sent and brought back only and only with the help of spinal cord. So in other words, spinal cord is a manager of the brain. If our spinal cord and brain are so important organs, that means these organs also need to be protected. Then how this central nervous system is protected? See, this brain is covered by a bony structure called rib cage. This bony structure is called skull, right? And spinal cord is covered by the bony structure called vertebral column. This skull, inside the bony cage, there is a fluid filled in both in vertebral column as well as in skull. Inside the bony cage, there is a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. What is that fluid called? Cerebrospinal fluid. This cerebrospinal fluid protects the brain and spinal cord from the injury and shocks. Now, our next topic is how nervous system causes action. See, this nervous tissues collects information and sends it around the body. This information is then processed. Then this information, after processing, the decision is made, and then this decision is made sent to muscles, and then this makes the muscles move. Now the question is how muscles move. Muscles are made up of special type of protein called contractile protein. This contractile protein changes its shape and size when electric impulse reaches to it. This is how the muscles move and our nervous system causes action.